I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. And we also have Judith, human rights defender. It's a pleasure having you as well this morning.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Good morning to our viewers. And also, I'm glad to be seated here with the fantastic gentleman, Afande Nyaika. It's my first time interacting with him, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful conversation. I'm Judith Atim. I'm from the Center for Constitutional Governance, where I am the head of programs.
It's a pleasure having both of you here. Afande, of late, the institution where you come from has had a bad name, if I can say, before us, the citizens and the civilians. And at some point, when you look at a man in uniform, you first take cover, especially when you expect a political person around the space. What is bringing all this? That the institution that had at some point achieved community policing, that is now getting back to being feared by the people.
No, that's just a perception that you're creating as media, that the community is fearing us.
Okay.
It's not that, because we are dealing with the community on a daily. Okay. And it's not only politics that we're in. You see, away from politics, people have to live their lives. People are doing businesses, people are moving on. So let's not tag so much on the political part, because this is just a small period of time. And you see, the police is one organization that many of us, I don't know how we value the police, because you see, I've been to some forums where you'd ask the community that if you were given an opportunity and told, would you want the police or you don't want them, you'll see many of their hands rising up saying, yes, we would do away with the police. Then you'd ask them, okay, can we give if we had a scenario whereby you wake up one day and the president says we have given police 1 day leave, what do you expect? Then people will say, oh, terrible. So meaning we are at a crossroad where people want it, they don't want it roasted, they don't want it cooked, they don't want it fried, but they want it ready. So that's the police. So everyone, they need the police at that time of need, but when they are not in need, they say we can do away with the police. So everyone looks at the police, and we are getting, I think, used to this, that since we are mandated to protect and serve the community, we'll be in their eyes every time. We have to be in the eyes and faces of the people of the community every day of their lives. Because the one that snatched a phone from will run to the police. The one who has a quarrel with a neighbor will run to the police. The one who has a land matter will run to police. The one who has even borrowed money to a friend and they didn't pay them, they still run to police. So you will find police is in the faces of the community every time and again. So obviously, if there is anyone they would want to talk about, is the police. So if you went out and made a survey and asked people to talk about institutions of government, if one doesn't speak about the police first, then I think they don't live in this world.
Okay. So with the beauty of police of late, and everyone has to look at the recent scenarios where the police that we are proud of, that we run to each time we have issues, at some point has turned to using some excessive force, especially to the civilians. What is causing this? And because we want to see how, with the cause of this, so that we can now talk to the viewers how they can safeguard themselves.
You see, it takes two to tango. And I believe that there are situations where there has been really excessive force in some rare situations, and I think the police spokesperson Afande Chituma came out the other day and said, as the police, we are handling that through our disciplinary measures, and we're going to deal with anyone who's also not conforming with the set guidelines that are given. But away from that is that even the other political players would want to take advantage of some situations by gaining mileage, because you see, if because the political period that we're in is governed by the law. We have the Presidential and Parliamentary Act, and it specifies clearly on what should be done. There are also guidelines by the Independent Electoral Commission on how candidates should behave, on what they should do. Now, away from that, we also have other laws that govern the country. We have some acts of parliament, like the Traffic and Road Safety Act. Now, if you are into politics and you are guided on which routes to use, you decide not to use them and decide to go and use a route that you think that is very busy. So the police will come in automatically to ask you not to do that. So some players will not want to listen. Basically because they think they have to gain mileage from that. So that's why you'll find the confrontations coming in. Now, the force being used, you see, the law also talks about the force that you would use should be proportional to the other force. But now the proportionality of that force can only be measured by you. You get? I would want us to look at an incident of the Gayaza, where people attacked the OC and police officers. Look at the force they used there. Now who would value the force that the police officer would use? And I think I have not heard the human rights defenders or any other people talking about human rights come out and say, look here, this was wrong. I've not seen it. And people look like it never happened. And it's not the only incident. Even when it comes to the media will not play it. They are not playing it. They will only find it because maybe some TikTok guy was doing his thing, then they ended up bringing it out. But away from that, no one has come out, because there are also incidences where police officers have been assaulted and no one comes out to talk about it. But on the other way around, it will become an alarm for everyone. So we would want also the law to be applied equally, equal application of the law. That if you're going to surely defend rights, and you are coming out to talk about human rights, then even as we are human beings, that should also be looked at. But then, can we also advise the other parties and talk to them? Because you see, we are not telling the people the right things. Because literally, it's been said clearly, because people have to move on with life. People have to do. Now, you want to put a rally at Nakasero Market. But at Nakasero Market, you know that there are traders who have brought in their merchandise they want to sell. There are those who have come in to buy. Yet, there are those who are also moving. We have people going to hospitals, others going for other things. So now, you come in and want to be there. But police tells you this cannot be a venue. That becomes a war. Then tomorrow, what happens at the end of the day? They are saying the police brutalized people.
Well, Judith,
Yes.
Afanda has said, you do not talk about the injustices they are subjected to as the men in uniform. You only talk about these others. So why do you always give a sided justification of human rights?
Adrian, thank you. And I want to also commend Afande Nyaika for some of the issues he has raised. But I want to start by saying, I'll get to your question, but I want to start by saying that this country, Uganda, this is our home, okay? And Uganda is big enough for all of us. Uganda is big enough for all of us to live peacefully, to coexist peacefully, regardless of shade of political, of your political shade, your religious affiliation, regardless of whether you're a civilian or a man or woman in uniform. This country is the only one that we have. And it is important that we treat each other as brother and sister, that we respect each other. Having said that, I heard Afande say this election period is just a small period of time. Yes, it is. It's a very small period of time, but a very significant one, okay? It is at the heart of our democracy. It is what will shape the future of this country, and whether or not this country remains intact or not depends a lot on how this small period of time is managed and how people are treated and handled, okay? I would also like to say that, first of all, where I have also watched videos where, yes, you see officers being pelted with stones. And certainly you cannot, there's no human rights defender in their right sense of mind who would say that's okay. Let's applaud those who are throwing stones at the police or the military. That is just not right, okay? And if you're a civilian out there engaged in such activities, that is wrong. It is illegal, it is against the law. But also as a person, before you even look at the legal nuances around that, why would you want to hurt another person? But when we take a step back, let's also talk about the role of the police. I know Afande has been talking about the fact that the force, when they use force, the force used must be proportional, okay, to maybe the level of aggression or counter-aggression that they're receiving. We know, of course, the police is mandated by law, first and foremost, to protect life and property, to preserve law and order, prevent and detect crime, maintain internal security and public safety in Uganda, and of course it does all this in accordance with the Constitution and the Police Act. But I think the concern most people have, not just human rights defenders, even as journalists, even as observers or civilians out there, is that the law itself that the police is supposed to enforce, a lot of times, and this is not just in this election period, we have seen the police force and other security agencies go against their mandate or abuse the very law that they are supposed to protect. There's so many cases of this. When you talk about the proportionality in the use of force, what happened in Iganga? The young man that was shot, he had just gone to listen to Bobi Wine speak. He didn't even have a stick on himself. And as he's walking back home to go back to his timber business where he has been working with his uncle, what do we see? A man has died, a breadwinner, a father, somebody's husband, somebody's son, somebody's brother. What was the proportionality of force used at that time, Afande? And this is not just, this is a conversation. I don't intend for this to be a confrontational thing, because I assume we're here because first and foremost we love this country and we are each working towards having a better country. He's doing it on the line of law enforcement. I am doing it from the side of the CSO, together with so many of my other colleagues there. Where bad things are done, where there are excesses on the side of the police force or any other entity, I think it is only fair and mature that we see people own up and take responsibility. That is all I have to say.
In which way? When you talk about people owning and taking responsibility? The
force itself, where it knows that when a young man has been killed, what has the police said about the incident in Iganga and so many other incidents? What we saw in Kawempe North alone early this year, what was the level of proportionality of force that was used on journalists if a journalist is holding a camera like that, what level of threat are they posing to you? Someone has just a recorder or even a phone to get a soundbite. What level of threat are they posing to you? And why must they be met with that level of aggression? And then we talk about proportional use of force? Really? I think, Afande, it's only fair. We appreciate the good things that the police does. We do. But where there are excesses, and it is not about, you see, when you sit with people like Afande, these are people who make decisions. They are calm, they are measured, they are intelligent. But the people you meet on the streets do not reflect the level of composure and measuredness that you find in people like Afande Nyaika.
Okay.
And these are people who answer to you, people who are in positions of authority. So what messages do you give your foot soldiers when they're out on the field? How are they supposed to handle civilians?
So you want to mean that the Afandis also have foot soldiers?
No. I mean, when you have like field force unit, what is field force unit?
Okay.
These are people on the. What is your understanding of foot soldiers?
You know, foot soldiers is a statement that came through.
So let's just, okay, maybe the choice of word is different. Let us say the men and women in uniform, the police officers who are deployed to manage order on the streets in our communities. Okay, the junior officers in the field.
Well, we are taking a short commercial break. When we return, those are questions enough for Afande Nyaika to answer. When we come back shortly after the break, stick with us.
Issues at hand. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand.
Welcome back from the break. This is Issues at Hand, and of course we are looking at the unanswered questions, arising from what we are seeing of late. And we remember when when the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs told us before the campaign started that these are going to be the most peaceful campaigns that Uganda has ever had. And we took that for, I think, the first month when it was all peaceful, and then we started seeing some signs of violence moving forward. Now, Afande, there were a number of questions that Judith raised, probably that we would want to hear an answer from you.
Thank you. You see, my sister Judith is playing that good part. You know, all human rights defenders would want to show in the eye of the public that indeed they are doing their best. Like going to church and the priest is showing you all is good, but they don't want to give you the other side of the coin. Now, she talked about saying, no, we are not okay with seeing police also being
brutalized
or what. But you have not come out, because even us would find, if Judith and the colleagues came out and said, look here, what happened in Gayaza, what happened, there's an incident actually, you remember the late Arium?
Yes.
The gentleman who was
stoned down here
to death. And other incidences that have happened, where policemen have been stoned. We have had those incidences happening, but you not hear them out. It is not, you see, I think it is the whole thing that it doesn't make news when a dog bites a man, but it makes news when the man bites the dog. So for them, beating the police doesn't make news. So they're saying, no, we, like she said, we are not happy with that, but they are silent about it.
They don't issue any statement.
Exactly. We want to see you do the same. It's the other side of the coin. So that when we come out and say, yes, you, because even us are humans, if you're saying you're a human rights defender, then you should defend all over us equally.
Okay.
I don't know if you get me.
They look at you as the violators of those whose rights they're defending.
Might be they could also be part of those who are violating our rights, because by keeping quiet and silent, they are also violating our rights, because they are not defending us as they are supposed to be doing. So the whole thing is not that we should be into an argument of who's doing what, who's doing what. The thing is, like she said, this is our country, and none of us would want to have an unpeaceful country. Not so? Yeah. But you see, why I say that this period is a short time, I was trying to show people that we don't need to go beyond our means to do anything that will take us back, because it's a small time for us. We can still exercise our rights peacefully. That's why I was asking, can't we have candidates organize and say, I have a rally in Kampala Central and my rally will be at Nakasero Primary at such a time? You organize, your people organize for you, the people that need to be there, either they are ferried or not ferried to Nakasero, and a candidate gets into his car, 2 or 3 cars, and drive to the venue. Would we have an election go on? Will that look like we didn't have an election? But people would want to, you're going to Nakasero, they want to first go to the market, go to Chiseka, go up to Owino, then come back to Nakasero with a very big crowd of people, forgetting that when you're also getting that crowd, there are now people who are actually taking advantage of all these situations. For them, they are sure when we come into the city, we are going to loot. We have to snatch. We have to do all sorts of things there. So they are also targeting to come and make business of people. Meaning there are people who are going to close shop. There are those who are going to not even leave their homes to come to town because they know there's going to be a rally. So more likely what will happen, there's going to be chaos in town. Meaning they are going to forfeit what they would have earned. But KCC is not going to stop them, asking them to pay ground rent or any other taxes, the same as URA or the landlords. So we should also look and value all these things. We need to, I think, weigh up and say now, I think this is, and now that is where the police comes in. Because I'm not going to protect people's properties if I'm not able to stop some of these things. My sister talked about, I think I was looking at the roles of police. There's that thing that to detect crime. How do you detect crime? Meaning, you're going to look at someone and judge them, either rightfully or wrongly. That this person, by looks of how he's behaving, he might be planning to do something. And that's why we always have the preventive arrest. That we can arrest you after either detecting that you want to commit a crime or suspecting that you are planning to commit a crime. Then when we find out that you are, might be we judged you wrongly, then we can let you go. Not so? Now, this is when you realize that more likely there may be a problem here and you have to come in and close that gap immediately. And many times it is said that a bad decision is better than no decision at all. Because if you don't take a decision and anything happens, then you'll also be blamed. But a bad decision, you can correct the decision.
Okay. Judith, talking about this, Afande says you never come out to talk about the injustices that officers are subject to. But what we want to look at broadly is what the people whose rights you defend can do to see that they live in harmony with police, because at the end of the day they need the police. And according to Afande Nyaika, these people also come against the police, only that no one talks about the injustices they're subjected to. We only sympathize with when they react back. So what can we do to see that the two, the men in uniform and the civilians, live in harmony to move on peacefully?
Thank you. I'll pick up from where Afande left. A bad decision is better than no decision at all. But what if that bad decision leads to loss of life? Okay, because we've seen bad decisions that have actually led to that. On the assumption that human rights defenders do not defend the rights of police, I think I heard how he was presenting his arguments, and I think I understand where he's coming from. Afande wants a press conference from civil society organizations and human rights defenders saying, we condemn the supporters of these candidates who are attacking the police.
So that it is also louder, the way it is louder to civilians.
We don't need a press conference, but we want to hear your voices at that particular time.
You haven't been hearing our voices. Right now, I am very sure across the country, there are talk shows that are running, okay? I am here. I know so many of my colleagues who are on so many other shows right now. I know so many who were on shows yesterday. I know so many who will be on shows this evening. And the messaging is the same. They talk about it collectively. Just like I said, this country is for all of us. We condemn the police for doing A, B, C, D. On the same note, we also condemn citizens who attack police. These messages have been running every day. You sit in and listen. So that alone should tell you that we understand and we are not happy. We are not happy. Like I said, this country is for all of us. You know, in as much as these young men and women who are supporting candidates on the streets are our brothers and sisters. You in the police force and the military are also our family. We have brothers and sisters in police. We have husbands, we have wives, we have family members, in-laws, and so on. So, just like NATO says, an attack on one is an attack on all. So when a civilian is being attacked, we all feel the pain. Just like we feel the pain when a civilian throws a stone and hits a policeman or a policewoman, it hurts just as much. Because at the end of the day, when you strip them of their uniforms, they are people, they are human beings. Just like when you peel off the mask of looking at this as a protester or a supporter of a candidate that perhaps you do not like or you do not support, at the end of it all, this is a human being. So we need to have Ubuntu, put Ubuntu first, okay? When you deploy to go and enforce or protect law and order, your men and women who go to enforce the law should have the spirit of Ubuntu first. Just like the citizens who go following their candidates and supporting their candidates should also wear that human face and that human heart. Okay? But I understand people get carried away by emotions on either side, whether it's on the side of security or on the side of citizens. People do get carried away, and that is where the pettiness, that kind of pettiness of not being in check of your emotions and faculties, is what will cause this country bigger problems. We need to approach our politics with some sanity, with sobriety, with maturity on either side, okay? Whether it's on the side of CSOs, on the side of politicians themselves who are campaigning, on the side of the masses, on the side of security agencies, we need to rise to a certain level. We need to be more mature, more sober and sane. And at the core of it all, we need to put this country at heart. Okay? What country do we want? What kind of legacy do we want to hand down to the next generation, to posterity, to the children who are toddlers now and those who are not yet even born? What country do we want to hand over to them? I think when we get to a point where we think not just for ourselves, we think not just about right this moment, and we're thinking beyond 50 years, 100 years, when we are old, when none of us here is actually existing. What kind of country can we imagine for those who will be here 100 years from now? Do we want to hand over to them a mess, or do we want to hand for them a better country than what we found and what we lived in?
So have you taken any initiative to extend these messages to the people in the community out there? All it ends on media. Whoever has watched has watched. The one who has not watched will face off with the men in uniform.
So Adrian, I need you to also understand the environment within which CSOs and NGOs are operating, and the constraints they're under, okay? You cannot have, even government itself doesn't have resources to reach out to every citizen. So then how can we reach out to 46 plus or 50 million Ugandans? It is not possible. Okay, with the resources that we have, we would love to sit down and move door to door, but we just cannot. So you meet different groups of people, but you also, when you also interact, behavior change is not something, changing perceptions and attitudes is not something you do in a minute, okay? It is short term. There are people who pick the message immediately and act on it, but sometimes it takes a longer term for you to actually see those results. But what we do is you meet, of course, small groups, whether you're working with students in universities and so on, and you hope they can be change agents, okay, and change others in their circles, in their community, so that you have this trickle-down effect. But I say when resources are so limited, there's only so much that you can do. So we look at, of course, the success stories that we have within the small groups that we meet. If you met somebody today and met them maybe a year later or 6 months later, what has changed? How are they looking at life? How are they looking at the world? How are they looking at authority? Do they look at the police as their enemies? Or do they look at this as actors in the affairs of this country? The police is an actor, the civilian is an actor, the CSO is an actor, the military is an actor. The approaches might be different, but ultimately, at the end of it, what we want is something that works for everyone, a country that's better for all of us to coexist. Okay. That's what it is. So in terms of, are you reaching out to people? We are doing the very best that we can, looking at the constraints within which we are operating.
Okay.
Yes.
I think Afande, there used to be a sound on social media that Afande tuwe mukubasasi because we are extremely happy. But we are looking at how we can bring back the sanity of this uniform, that when someone looks at this uniform, they respect it, that we want to get back to that point where even looking at this uniform, you know you're safe. You can't even be provoked to hold a stone and throw it to the man in uniform. So what can we do and what needs to be done?
To my thinking is that the uniform is well respected, because if it wasn't respected, then we would not have those many calls every day for people calling out the police to come to their rescue, or police come and support us here, or police come and do this. So I think it is respected. It's only that in the political field, people are training, I think these young people, I think, to engage. That's why you hear, I think she picked on a word of foot soldier, which was, I think, from somewhere. Now, I don't know if you've seen some pictures of young boys with the toys at the rooftops. And now, you see, in such a situation, you are moving and you see someone who is not a police officer or an armed personnel, and you see them with anything that looks like a gun. What happens? You see how we can easily lose life just like that, just because some leaders have taken this as a joke. There are things that we need not to joke with. It's absurd that we have lost some people, like she said, the young man in Iganga. Very absurd. But you know, some situations happen. No? I cannot tell what exactly happened, but I've seen stray bullets hit people who are even not part of an activity. Someone even kilometers away moves and then hits them. And maybe at times we end up losing life. And it's very unfortunate that we need to fight so much to protect the life than losing the life. But this all starts on us, the leaders. This all starts on a leader. Honorable Jabel Bidandi Sali used to say that as a leader, as you walk out, you should, one, be mindful of the people you have, and also protect them. If you realize that I'm going to go in the city center, and more likely police is going to have a war with me, and they don't want me to be there, and more likely there will be tear gas, and you realize amongst the people in the community where you are going to be, there could be young children, there could be sickly people, there could be older persons who are weak. So you know that in case there is that tear gas, it may affect some of these people. Then you as a leader take a decision not to do what you wanted to do. And I think that's a very good thing for any leader to think through, because you need to, because these are the people you want to serve. I'm imagining if a leader came up and then police told you cannot have a rally here because of the following reasons, and you realize if you insisted to have the rally there, more likely police will have running battles with you, and you decided to tell you people, look here, because I have to protect you and make sure that you're also safe, let's move our rally to another place. I think that would be nice of a leader. But we have leaders who are self-centered. they think it is written somewhere that it is either them in that position or it's them, no one else. So it is by hook or crook that they should be in that position. So they would want to fight so hard for them to be there. Either you want it or not. I remember at some time, I think during Kano Kizza Besigye's time, I saw one of the leaders when I think they had arrested Kano Kizza Besigye. One of the leaders there was saying, no, we have to go with it. They told him, no, for you go away, because I think police had arrested Kano Kizza. This person insisted and jumped onto a police patrol car and sat onto Kano Kizza Besigye's laps. I'll look for that video and share with you, so that next time you can show it. The leader had to jump on so that the news will capture that when Kano Kizza Besigye was arrested with so and so. Are you getting it? So they are looking, some people are just looking for news, to create that news. Even when they tell them, no, you go, we shall not arrest you, the person will insist, at least cause kafuyo, that will make them at least be taken either to CPS, even if it's just for an hour, and they are released. But the news will have captured them as...
It's amazing. I see our time is running. Judith, what would be your closing remarks as we wind up this conversation about safety, especially during these campaigns? We have about a month and a few days to get out of this entire arrangement, and then we get back to normal business.
Okay. How much time do I have? 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to really respond to the things that Afande said, but it's okay, I'll not. One, I want to talk about, just very quickly, the letter that the Uganda Human Rights Commission released yesterday regarding the violence that happened in Gulu, where Robert Kyagulanyi was supposed to hold his rally. We saw what happened there, and I think it's really deplorable. You've seen that message from the Uganda Human Rights Commission. I wish we actually had more time to talk about that. I agree, though, when Afande talks about civilians using, toy guns, using papyrus reeds, and, acting like they're rebels and so on. That is really immature. And if you are a candidate and your supporters do such a thing, and you do not actually come out to admonish them or caution them, then that is really unfortunate, because it goes back to what I said earlier. This country is big enough for all of us, and I believe God put us here for a reason, not to destroy it, not to burn it down, but to protect it, to build it, to make it better for those who come after us. And of course, as we count down to the 2026 elections, it's important for all of us to be safe, but safety comes with responsibility. Okay, the excitement and the use of too much emotions on either side, like I said, we need to rise above some of the sentiments. We need to approach our politics with a lot of maturity, with a lot of wisdom, and with love for our country. I think there's no better way for us to stay safe than to be sober people in the in a civic process like this. A democratic a campaign season is a civic process, and a civic process requires everyone to act civil and civic. So if we all play our roles as citizens, as security agencies, and everyone else as CSOs, I don't think we should actually fail to have a safe election. But this violence that we have seen should also be a wake-up call to all of us to learn to correct course, to assess ourselves. If you're a civilian or a supporter, a political candidate, where have you gone wrong? How can you make things better? If you're on the side of security, the Afande Nyaikas, where have you also gone wrong as security, and how can you do better? I think that should just be it, and we avoid this blame game. It is them, they provoked us, we fought back. No, we need to self-assess and do better.
Thank you so much, Judith. Afande, your closing remarks.
One, I would want to ask all Ugandans that, like my sister Judith said, this country is ours, and we shouldn't burn it down. And I would ask that the political players, please let's follow the guidelines given by the Independent Electoral Commission in making sure that we run these elections properly. And us as the police, we are going to continue with our mandates to fulfill the mandates given to us, and we will make sure that, like you've seen, I think through the IGP on yesterday's presser, it was clear that our spokesperson made it clear that whoever will act contrary to the set laws in the police will also be dealt with, because we have standard courts, disciplinary courts, and they will also be dealt with. But I would want Ugandans to exercise their rights, but exercise their rights being mindful of other people's rights, and also allow the police to do its role. Please allow the police to do its work, because we have to be accountable back to you, the citizens, after that. But I thank you for giving us this time. I want to thank my sister Judith and the human rights defenders. Now from today, please, you know that we're also humans, we're going to defend us.
We've always known that.
Don't be silent.
No, we have, even on this show, we've talked about
Now
it.
you've talked it on this show.
And everyone else has been talking, defending you people.
See, Judith, because I've also complained. But tomorrow, don't wait for me to complain.
No, we
Please,
don't.
I would want you to come up, and the first thing, you see, when I go to TV, the first thing they bring for you are pictures of police doing this, police doing that. But today, I was on TV and I told them, okay, you bring for us also. I don't know if you've seen that video of Gayaza.
Yes, yes.
Where the police officer, people were actually, they even, I kept on closing my eyes not to finish a video, because I was wondering what would happen. The young boy was pushed down with his gun. I was like, okay, what is going to happen next? The boy woke up, then he went to defend his boss. They were pushing his boss, one slapped him. I said, oh.
So that tells you that in an environment of fear and violence, no one is safe, whether you have a gun or not. And that's why we need sobriety.
Well, thank you so much, Gidit. Thank you so much, Afandanyika, and you, our viewer, thank you so much. We appreciate your time that you've given us. And of course, we've come to the end of Issues at Hand today. We've been hosting Makala Zimeni, my with Esther, Liz, Ivan, and Muhomuza. From the entire team, we wish you a blessed morning.
Issues at Hand